if Detroit finishes 4th in the Eastern Conference, is that a successful season or is it a failure? Sean, let's go to you first.
4th in the regular season standings? Because if they're if they're 4th in the regular season standings, to be honest with you, I don't think it really means a whole lot. I think the way that we are going to look at this regular season should be through a different lens, because for one, we've already seen the Pistons get high level, like, regular season success. They've had, they just had their 3rd best season in franchise history from a win total perspective. Now it's about how far they can get beyond that. If they were a 6th seed in the Eastern Conference, but still got to the conference finals, that'd be a good season to me.
Yeah, 4th seed isn't it's not the end of the world. At this point, you just want to make sure the team's prepared for playoff basketball. So if they're the 4th seed, but you see other ball handlers step up, you see shot creators stepping up, and you see shooters making shots, you kind of look at the playoffs and say, hey, we might be the 4th seed, but we're more equipped than we were last year as the 1 seed to actually make some real noise. So,
yeah, it's not a death sentence by any means, but can you guys tell me the last 4th seed to ever win an NBA Finals, no matter the conference?
I'm pretty sure. I mean, off the top of my head, I can't tell you the seeding of every single team that's won the finals every year. But like we've seen teams, we've seen teams from the play-in reach the finals. Like I think a lot of it comes down to like playing your best basketball at the right time of year. And I might add, like, again, we're going to be seeing a lot less teams tank. This Eastern Conference is more stacked than it's been. It's entirely possible the Pistons are better and still lose like 5 to 10 more games just because of the conference they're in.
Yeah.
To answer that, Leggy, I think 0. I think the Rockets won as a 6th seed in 95, but it's a new NBA. You just kind of want to be prepared for the playoffs, man. You don't want to go in there with K being the only scorer, the only creator once again. You want to see guys step up. So that should be the goal of the regular season.
These are the facts that don't really matter to me, because it's like I feel like the NBA is getting so much stronger with every team that's playing that, I mean, I feel like lower seeds are going to start kind of taking those spots. I don't think it's just going to remain that way. We have the Celtics from Hammy Poopy Hamilton Hoops. He was correct. 1968, 1969 Boston Celtics. That's the last time 4th seed has.
What you did leave out is that there are 5 other 4th seeds that have made the finals. So
yeah,
it's not like fair. Getting that deep is impossible at that spot.
Yeah. Okay. Moving right into it. The topic of today, we're going to be talking about Ausar Thompson because he became one of the NBA's best defenders. I think we could say him and Wemby. If you want to debate on a number 2 in front of Ausar, I think you can, but I just think what Ausar can do, it's generational, guys. But the question is, can he make an offensive leap necessary to win Most Improved? Because the numbers, I feel like, say he has a long way to go. But if you're looking purely at upside, I mean, it feels undeniable.
Yeah, I think if you look at the way that, if you were to lay the blueprint of how can Ausar have an MIP type season, you look at what Jalen Duren did during the regular season last year, and what really JB and the coaching staff told Duren is, he already got himself like 4 or 5 buckets created by Cade and throughout the flow of the offense, throughout a game already. That was just already there. But if he can create just 3 shots a game for himself, then that takes his game to another level. And once Duren just started doing those simple things, that's when his game really elevated. Like Ausar is already near, at double-digit scoring when you look at just the transition, opportunities that he creates. When you look at, some of the cutting that he does in the half court, when it comes to his regular season offensive game, he is already on the brink of 10 points a game just off of his raw athleticism and defensive havoc he's wreaking. Right. So if he can just create, if he can even just, create more isolations for himself, if he can improve his handle to the point where he can get to the basket more at will, if he can, we talk a lot about his 3-point shot, but if he can step further out in the mid range and, get closer to the 3-point line, that's a huge element of his game that goes to another level. I already think he plays well enough defensively to be in that all-star conversation. To your point, outside of a 7'6" alien, this is the best defender alive, and he's only 22 years old. And I think you look at the fact that this is really the first time he's going to be in the gym in the summer with truly no restrictions, no worries, not having to check in with a doctor about the blood clot issues he had. Like, to me, this feels like a season where Ausar could be unleashed.
Yeah, it kind of started with the minutes. Like, out of all the elite defenders, all the elite players, he's one of the only ones that don't even play 30 minutes a game.
Yeah.
So seeing that little bump there, maybe like Sean says, the first year where he doesn't have to worry about anything in all season besides getting better. So hopefully his stamina actually got better last year too. It's kind of sometimes the foul trouble kind of gets him off the court, and sometimes JB might not trust him as much, even though there is no metric out there that supports the Pistons being better without Ausar in any capacity. But a most improved leap, I'm kind of not really worried about a real shooting leap. We've never really seen a shooter start off like Ausar, kind of become great. So great that's out the window for me probably. Serviceable. We do see him have a mid-range jump shot. He can get to the middle of the floor. He has a nice little turnaround. Sometimes he goes to.
Yeah.
It's kind of just the confidence, man. Just like sometimes you get the ball and he kind of just don't even attack the rim, or he don't even look at the basket. But all the athleticism, he should be a better finisher. A lot of room to grow there. He can be a better finisher, I believe. So I think a most improved leap will kind of start with finishing, his minutes, definitely his ball handling, because he kind of is the secondary creator on his team. He is probably the second
In his
best
optimal
passer,
role, he is.
for sure. Yeah. So yeah, that's what a most improved leap will kind of look like. I feel like he is kind of on the radar. The NBA loves to give most improved, they used to love to give most improved to a kind of guys who kind of come out of nowhere. That hasn't been a trend super as of late, but it's a chance for Ausar for sure.
Yeah, for me, I look at Dyson Daniels, and apples to oranges when you're talking about the player, but you're talking about a guy who you knew could play defense. The offense wasn't there before his MIP season. Looks like 5.8 points a game. So having that leap up to 14, I think that's what got him there. Because if he was up to 10 points, I think you're just looking at a guy who's just a much better defender. You need that offensive skill set to be there. But you're talking about Ausar Thompson, who is already generational defender. We're talking about number 2. Like, I feel like seeing him do it again in this Eastern Conference defensively, like, maybe he doesn't have to have the offensive leap. It's more about how does he match up against Jason Tatum every night? How does he match up against potentially a Giannis, especially if he has to guard a bigger guy? What about like Jaylen Browns, the LeBrons, like all of these guys now that are in the East that are healthy? I mean, Tyrese Halliburton potentially too. So how much of that can be looked at? And I don't know. I need to look at the history books to look at how many true defenders have actually won the award. But I mean, maybe that's not most improved anymore, if from what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think, I think we obviously have seen, a lot of like gadget guys, or I think, like Dyson Daniels. I think you even look at like Nikhil Alexander Walker. I think a lot of these guys are also just players who, they have like basketball IQ. They clearly know how to fit within a scheme, within a system. And as the skill set developed over time, they were in a situation that allowed themselves to be in a more of a creator position. So when I look at this season for Ausar, like last year, I think the plan was initially to have Ausar more on the ball, for him to like start taking, like some of those leaps, and to like use some of last season to be able to kind of work, kind of flesh those skills out. But I think people forget like how early in the season that 13-game winning streak was. And I think when you realize like, wait, hold on a second, this team could actually be a little bit better than we thought, I think you change your plans and focus less on development, more on just how many regular season games can you win. And so I was just going to say, I think just having another summer to be in the gym, but also have another playoff series where he can recognize just tangibly how much his lack of offensive creation took him out of the game. When Cleveland, literally at the end of game 7, they acknowledged it. They said, we're just going where Ausar isn't. Like, that's, like when he's that good defensively, and it's the other thing that's keeping him off the floor, just keeping him less competitive. Like, I think that's, for a guy who's like a competitive freak like him, that's going to keep him in the gym for a while. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that he has that potential. And maybe let's move away from the MIP talk. Like, what is stopping him from being defensive player of the year? Like, what would he have to do to dethrone what we've seen in the alien that is incoming that might win the next 10 plus years?
Short answer, Wemby's health. Like, I think unfortunately a lot of it's going to come down to whether or not Wemby has a 65 game, season as far as like what he plays, because I think just in this modern NBA, I think bigs already have such a bias towards them when it comes to the DPOY award. Like it's already rare to see a wing or a guard win Defensive Player of the Year. But with Wemby, he's going to walk into 3 or 4 blocks a game already before you throw in his instincts and his skill. And so, unfortunately, I do think that part of the equation for Ausar becoming a Defensive Player of the Year is going to be if Wemby reaches that game mark. And I think, like as unfortunate as that is to say, I don't think that's a detriment to Ausar. I think some of it's the narrative and the bias that comes with elite bigs and the rim protection they provide.
Yeah, and Wemby already kind of he kind of gonna win it every year until he don't, basically. Like, going into the season, media members already got their mind made up. So obviously the health part, like if Wemby don't play 65 games, Ausar will be the favorite, kind of like him, Chet, Gobert, guys like that. But I think that it would have to be like a crazy statistical thing. Like the Pistons have a 102 defensive rating with Ausar on the court, and it's like 112 without him. Now, Detroit always has a good defensive infrastructure, period, so they wouldn't be that bad without him, probably. But if it was that big of a difference, I think some stat media people might start saying, like, hey, this is a generational wing defender. Hey, he does guard 1 through 4, he gets deflections. He's a great on-ball defender, So I think it would have to be like a crazy stat leap like that.
Yeah, and we see a comment here from Blue Foster. First team appearances will be enough. And it almost reminds me of like LeBron making it to the finals so many times, stopping all of those Eastern Conference teams from making it. It's like, oh, they just went against LeBron. Like, that's good enough for them. Shake their hand. There's a trophy for that.
Just to be clear, we're talking defensive first team, right? Because if they're talking first team, okay, because first team All NBA, that's like as long as he's one of the 5 best players in basketball, that'll be. I'm like, all right, like let's just make sure our expectations are set here.
Yes, I'm assuming that's what he's talking about. It
has to be.
Let us know if it's different, please, Blue. And sorry if it is. And okay, guys, what I wanted to talk about now is the NBA schedule, and it came out. We know what we saw at the beginning of the year for Detroit. You have Boston, you have the Knicks, you have Philly, and who is the other team? Who's the fourth?
You have the Knicks, you have the Celtics, you have the Heat, and then you play the Sixers.
Yeah, that's a gauntlet right there. And he follows it up with Charlotte, and then you have 3 easy matchups. But I talked about it earlier in the post, so I don't want to elaborate too much on that. But what I wanted to ask you guys are, what are some noticeable takeaways from this schedule release?
I think it's just that. I think it's the gauntlet that they have at the beginning of the season. And I think we're going to learn a lot about where this team is at within the first month of the season. You don't want to read too much, obviously, into the first month or two. But when you talk about, like the period that leads up to the trade deadline, I think they certainly have like a more favorable schedule, probably towards the back half of the season than they do in the front. And so, like, I think we're going to really see, like the strength and the like the stability of the culture of this team really be challenged, because they are going to be facing some true tests here to start the season. So, I mean, like that first 4 is truly a gauntlet. So I think, like, not to read too much in those games, but I'm going to be watching them very closely.
Brennan, I'll let you go in a second. I just pulled up this because Sean mentioned as well, like the back half is going to be a lot easier. You're looking at March and April, and I think it's about 22 games, and I counted this in my last video, and there's like 15 or 16 gimmies like that I look at, and I say, okay, the Pistons should handily handle these games. Like, yes, you can see like Toronto's. Yes, you can see Indiana's, which some people might consider a gimme with that health issue. But I look at the end of the year for Detroit, and even if they're 5 games back from something that they need to hit, if it's the 4 seed, if it's the 3 seed, if it's the 2 seed, it's the 1 seed, you shouldn't be afraid, because the opportunities you have to finish out the year are going to be great, especially when you're talking about other teams that might even be resting. Like if Giannis and the Knicks, they're the 1 and 2, and the Pistons are trying to get to that 3 seed, they might rest a couple guys. You know what I mean? So it's like, it just feels very advantageous at this point.
Yeah. I kind of hate to be a Debbie Downer, but I don't really care too much about the schedule release. I never have any year, because it's kind of like you got to play everybody anyways, and you just got to beat the teams you got to beat. I think it's pretty cool that they have 19 national TV games. That's pretty cool, getting some respect. I know some people was mad at it was no Christmas game, but it makes sense after the kind of the playoff finish. But the NBA are pushing them like they play the first game of the season in Detroit. You know, that 3:00 slot. I've been seeing a lot of stuff about that's prime time in Europe. Are the NBA trying to make Detroit Europe's team? You know, yeah, like you know, all the stuff on social media or like Michigan. I mean, Detroit has a huge global fan base already, so I can kind of see the play that the NBA is going for there. But yeah, the schedule, you got to be who you got to beat everybody, man. You can't go in there and think it's going to be gimmies because again, with the tanking rules changing, I feel like everybody's going to be coming to play. Like I know Brooklyn is supposed to be terrible, but they might just pop off because they have no reason to lose on purpose. You know, teams like that.
Last year they start to the year. Not that it meant a good end, but it's like it shows that those teams can get high. Well, real quick, Sean, Onyx, welcome in. Always good to have you in here, man.
What I was going to say was with I think another thing you have to look at too, it's like, all right, because to your point, for the most part, the schedule has a similar structure every year. We know when they're going to go on their road trips. We know, like kind of like what things are going to look like. But one thing I think we can take away, and I've been talking about, like the in-season tournament, which I think people scoff at. But when you talk about like what it means, like we've already seen teams who have gone into like the in-season tournament and like young teams who have gotten that experience of playoff level basketball, like high level reps, which yes, the Pistons have gotten 2 postseasons of, but more the merrier when you're talking about a group this young trying to develop and take that next step. So like looking at the teams that they're going to be playing in their group for the in-season tournament, at Brooklyn, at home versus Toronto, which with every passing day, it looks less likely that Kawhi's going to be there. At Orlando, which that's a coin flip of what they're going to look like this season with the new coach and everything like that. And then at home against Milwaukee. And so when like, yes, it's a deep conference, but it's like, there is no reason that the Pistons shouldn't at the very least get out of their group when you talk about like what they can do in the in-season tournament. And I've talked about it. Like you look at the Pacers, the very first year they went and they went to the finals after their in-season tournament run. Like the Thunder won the championship after, they had some sloppy execution in their in-season tournament. I mean, we literally just saw the finals preview this last year in the in-season tournament. So people can scoff at it all they want, but like I'm taking this seriously.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a hot take, but I kind of love the in-season tournament. And especially coming off the World Cup, I just love I like one-game eliminations. I just love them. It's just cinema. So
I'll tell you, with that World Cup, I think more people are going to be into it because it follows a similar format, and that's the whole inspiration of it.
For sure.
But this, like the Pistons are the type of team that this is made for. Like when you talk about like, yeah, I can see why LeBron doesn't care about an in-season tournament because this isn't going to like matter in his GOAT debate. But like when you're talking about a young Pistons team that wants to take that next step, like the confidence that comes with taking home some hardware, even if it's not the Larry O'Brien trophy, like that would still mean a lot to a Pistons fan base that hasn't seen anything since Obama was still in like the mayoral office.
And with the Knicks winning the championship this year, I hope that can add some validity to the in-season tournament. Like, I'm not saying it's ever going to be equal to the Larry O, but hopefully it's something that, like, man, we didn't win the whole thing, but we got that.
Yeah.
It's not a bad consolation prize.
Yeah. I want to dig into these groups I talked about in a video a couple days ago because there's some bloodbaths. There's also some pretty bad ones here. But real quick, we got a comment from Onyx. Where do you guys think Detroit's going to finish in the East? So we talked about this a little bit off rip. But to me, I think they're going to have home court. I don't think there's anything stopping them for that. They're built for that regular season. I mean, I could see a top 3. I don't want to say 1. I feel like it's doable, but I'm just going to say home court.
I think that top 3 should be the expectation for them this season. I think if you were to look at, like, if you were to rank the East as far as contenders, it's probably about where I'd have them. So I think with the style they play too, I think there's no reason they shouldn't be able to be a top 3 team in the East.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely say home court, probably 4-ish, 3-4, somewhere in there. But yeah, they definitely should still get home court and still host a playoff series in the first round.
Yeah, if they don't, there's going to be so many questions going into next offseason because this is probably assuming that they make the big deal at the deadline. Because everything I've heard, every reporter, not even reporter, just like content creator I've heard is saying this deadline is where you almost have to make it. They want to do it before Ausar and Duren are both like actually on the books. Do I believe all of that? No, because we've been saying that for years. Well, you know what I mean?
Well, because again, like I think this is where, not to keep sounding like the boring guy bringing up the cap, but like you have to look at the way they changed the rules. Like it's just like the Celtics just traded Jaylen Brown because they made a financial decision to not pay him and Tatum anymore. It was not a basketball decision. It was a financial one. So it's like, if you have teams that are making those types of decisions because they don't want to be in the second apron, literally the owner of the Knicks just called it comparable to suicide in basketball for what you can do. Like this is like,
it is though. It really is.
It is. And that's why teams aren't giving up these picks anymore. Because when you lose these players you can't pay, you got to replace them somehow.
Yeah. With those controlled contracts. And that's why these old, I don't know. I always thought there was going to be more seniors, juniors getting picked earlier. Has that been a thing since all of these rules? Like have older players been drafted earlier to make sure you have more floor than ceiling?
I mean, I think
that's a broad question to ask, like off the cusp.
I don't think we've seen more upperclassmen because of the rule change of the salary cap. I think we've seen more upperclassmen because of NIL and because of the fact that there's less incentive for those for guys to be a one and done. Like, I think we're seeing more guys say, hey, I can just stay another year in college, get more reps, and still get paid more than if I were to sign a rookie contract.
Yeah, the last thing I want to say before we go to this next comment and then get back to these groups is just looking at the money structure point. If Ausar Thompson was a lights out 3-point shooter, I feel like you could get away with paying all of that money for that core because it would just mesh, it would fit, it would be easy to put players around them. But with the way you're built with Cade, Ausar, Duren, with the limited shooting, and this is all assuming Jalen Duren's coming back, you have to pay for premier shooters on the outside, like Duncan Robinson's, John Collins, Isaiah Joe's. Like, you have to get those guys to make your core work. And that's where it's almost a disadvantage for what we have. But when it works, I mean, it's team basketball. It's not just these three, it's everybody.
I just wouldn't put too much on Ausar. Like, yes, Ausar needs to get that jump shot, but
and I'm not saying that. Sorry.
Well, no, I'm just saying in general, I think we all reflex wise, just go to Ausar just needs to get that jump shot.
Yeah.
But what I'm just pointing out is Ausar isn't the one that shat the bed in the postseason.
Of course.
So that's just what I would say to that.
No, that makes sense. And my big point is, like, I feel like that's how we're going to build, because I don't think it's going to get to where we want it to be or where people think it can get. All that being, Sean, let's go fight in the backyard. Let's just go find a backyard to fight in. Brennan can just film it. I don't know.
I'll referee it, man. Break it up when it gets too bad.
Mud wrestling going.
Okay, Onyx has New York, Cavs, 76ers, Boston, and Detroit fighting.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, it's tiers. I can understand some of those teams, but I'm not super confident in the Cavs being better than Detroit personally.
Me neither.
Yeah, the Cavs still haven't even signed James Harden back yet, so we'll see. Like, I'm sure they will, but we'll see how that develops.
They're
and
still
also,
in the analytical finals.
Also, like,
right.
Did Tyrese Halliburton, like, did he just like pause his life last year? Did nothing happen to him at all? Like, is he coming back like nothing happened to him?
Yeah, all these players, that's the biggest thing. It's like we see these anomalies, like Kevin Durant had those major injuries, came back, and it was Kevin Durant. I don't know about Tyrese Halliburton because they're built on speed, and I know he wasn't even like able to shift, not even a few months ago. Like, there's so many issues with I think his injury with how the Pacers play. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. It makes sense, but new technology, I'm pretty confident he'll be fine.
I think he'll be fine by the end of the season, but like even the year the Pacers made the finals, they had a rough start to their season that year. And I think another thing, it's like Tyrese coming off the injury, but also the Pacers just had a year where they just lost back and forth, left and right every single night. Like, I don't think that does nothing to a team.
Oh no, I just feel like, we know we didn't have our engine. We know we didn't have our player that kind of led us to the final. So it's kind of like, I don't know. And Siakam is a champion. He's a proven vet. Zubac is a lot better than Miles Turner. The fit is a little different. You know, he's not a shooter.
That's my take.
But it's crazy. I mean, it might not be the perception, but he's a way better rim protection than Miles Turner has been over the last few years.
I can see that.
He's probably the best role partner Halliburton has had too so far. So
it helps.
I like Indiana over Cleveland for sure. For sure.
I've heard some people having Boston pretty low. Marvelous, welcome in.
I think my question with Boston is like, because I think they have like the talent to be a really good regular season team. My question is like, because like for me, it's like I think what really is going to affect Boston's place in the standings is over or under 15 games. How many does Tatum miss? Because if it's over, they're going to be towards the bottom of the East. Like they're going to be a play-in team.
Hugo is going to lead the charge,
and
like, they wouldn't trade Giannis for.
Like I think we all agree that like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum normal years are like on par. Tatum probably takes the edge, but like the difference is like Jaylen Brown, his durability last year was a big part of why Boston was able to stay in it. Whereas like with Tatum, it's like, I think he's probably going to be fine this year. I think he did the strength things that he needed to do to get that one leg back to equal strength to the other, because that was a big part of why he got hurt again this last year. But it's not like a guarantee that he's going to be able to play like 65 plus games. And I think that's going to be the gamble.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You go to the, let's talk about well, we can talk about the East B. That is a group.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to bring up.
Yeah,
it's all because Indiana and Miami and even Philly, I mean, like they had substantial additions, even with Indiana just being by injury. You have the Knicks and you have Cleveland. Like they're just like, those are all 5 teams who in theory have a chance to be the 1 through 5 seed. And that's leaving out Detroit, obviously. But there's a universe where it's like all of that is the top of the East.
Maybe this makes me a sicko, but like, am I crazy for kind of being intrigued by Group C in the East as well?
No, that is exactly what it is. Because Atlanta, to me, is one of my favorite watches this year, and most of it comes from the grittiness. And it's like 2 not defense player of the years, comeback players, or not comeback players, most improved players. And it's just they keep adding to their core. And like Jalen Johnson's a stud. You look at Washington, what they've done. The Hornets, like, yeah, they got rid of LaMelo Ball, but like Naz Reid, they have a good core. In Chicago, it's like they're just a scrappy team with a future instead of just a nowhereville.
Norm Powell said it himself. Chicago has the potential to be really good. They also have the potential to be really bad.
God, that's so dumb. I read that. I just was so confused.
But
I thought that was real.
You understood what he meant though.
They got talent.
Yeah, and I like how the new GM is coming in with an actual philosophy and actually trying to build like a pathway to something. You know, it seemed like the previous regime was just, all right, let's get him. All right, nah, not him. It's like Bryson Graham has a plan. But I like Group C too because I'm a little higher on Washington than most. I don't know if they make the playoffs. Think they should make the play-in. Like that would be a good season for them.
At the very least, though, for this in-season tournament, you know you're getting your best out of AD because this is probably his best audition to go to another team.
Oh, and it's early.
And he get paid again. You know, he's definitely won another contract. But I'm excited to see AJ playing off the ball. Because, like, in theory, he has all the tools to play off the ball, but his whole life he's just been the on-ball guy. But now he's playing with, like, the on-ball guy in Trae Young. So I'm excited to see how AJ kind of adapts to the NBA and kind of taking on, like, okay, I got to do some of the role player stuff. I got to cut sometimes. I got to, guard the other team's go-to guy at times. I'm kind of excited to see how AJ adapts to that role.
Yeah, I think it will only make Trae better, too. Like, having another guy who has played on ball. Like, I feel like throughout Trae's career, you haven't really seen that too much. And there's been experiments here or there, but it's like now you're getting a legit guy that, like, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what Trae's catch and shoot numbers are, but, like, they could be astronomical given his form, given how we know he can shoot.
Yeah, I think, like, over the last couple of years, he shot closer. Like, this isn't his catch and shoot, but in general, he's been closer to like 32 or 34%. Like,
surprising.
Yeah, like even like last year when he was playing, like I know he would probably bring up the health, but like in general, he just wasn't shooting that great last year. So it's like I feel like this could be a real, like motivation year for Trae Young to come in and like change the narrative on his career. Not saying I think he will, but like I think at the very least, like this is his best shot to do so, in my opinion. Looking elsewhere, to me, it's like I just look at it's like you look at Group C in the West, and it's like, all right, they clearly just want Wemby to be there. come hell or high water. It's like, I know these are supposed to be randomly drawn, but how do you not look at that group and go, all right, come on.
Well, it's
We're
all
just
by
giving them a
schedule.
golden path.
Or all by record, isn't it? Previous year?
Is it?
I thought it was all like you find the mean or median, so it's like the top and the bottom, or what would it be? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That's exactly. Does that make sense by my graphic?
Well, you did just list out how many teams are in a conference.
No, well,
so
what you do is group A,
established-
B, C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, A, B, C, 7, 8, 9, A, B, C. Like, that's what it is, and that's
We're
all
not
it is.
talking about this. We're talking about this.
And that was real. Okay. Hit the like button. Yeah, if you're in here, make sure you hit the like button. That helps it get to more Pistons fans. We had somebody from the Philippines not too long ago. We had someone from the Bahamas not too long ago as well. It's like
the world's team.
Yeah, it's on its way.
Team.
So
I like Group A in the West.
That's where I was gonna go, Brennan. Yeah, I'm with you.
Kind of similar to my take about the East, Group C. I'm intrigued to see Darren Peterson with the Jazz. Like the Jazz, they for the first time ever gave Will Hardy a competent team. Like Will Hardy has always took, well, at least in the beginning of the season, he would make Utah better than what they were, and then they would tank. So Will Hardy can kind of show his full coaching repertoire this year. So and then Phoenix, scrappy. Denver is Denver. Cooper Flag, so that West A that's pretty nice too.
And Houston, talk about a team that direly needs some early season motivation and some like momentum. The Houston Rockets, if they flame out in this, like, not saying that this would like break up their team, but like they've already shown some signs of struggle and some, like they're already kind of pretty openly floating around the idea of Kevin Durant being in Detroit. So like when that's already kind of out in the air, we're not even in September.
Think about last year, man. The social media stuff, like with KD and everybody else. Like, I feel like Houston at this point, you just need to take Amen Thompson. You just need to put him in bubble wrap, and then you need to just find the team to build around him. Because as much as I like the surrounding pieces, the timeline with KD doesn't make sense, especially with everything else going on in the West and in the East as well. I feel like Şengün, like the fit in theory works. I think in theory, if you look at it on paper, you look at it in 2K, but I think when you actually dive in analytically and you look at it on like at the game, I mean, it's just not a great fit. Like, I feel like they just need a whole rehaul, and maybe I'm a hater. I don't know.
I do wonder how Fred VanVleet, I know he's coming off an injury too, so I don't expect him to come in there and be like, he's older than some of the guys that's been hurt, but I wonder how having a true point guard might help them, but I'm not super high on Houston. Like you said about KD, the burners last year, it seemed like he wanted to go to Detroit, posting. I know it's all social media, but, just posting K, posting the old letter D early in the offseason. I just feel like he's just throwing all the shots like, all right, man, because if I go to Detroit, I can be a super scorer and not be the leader. That's what he wants to be. He doesn't want to go in there and have to be the verbal leader like he is in Houston right now. So, yeah, I'm not. We'll see. We'll see how that goes this season, man. We'll see.
If there's any player you actually pay attention to their social media and actually take something from it, it's Kevin Durant, because social media means something to him, man.
For sure, yeah.
Group West B. That I look at that and I have some vomit in my mouth. It's putrid, and I feel bad because the Grizzlies, I feel like, will be a fun watch. They're not going to be a great team. They just don't have the offensive firepower. Like grit and grind, it's the kind of back, and more like,
oh yeah,
I don't know. What's like a watered down grit and grind? I don't know. You can think about that, but you also look at it with the Clippers. They're not going to be great. You look at it with the Pelicans. Woof. And then you have OKC in Minnesota. Like, that's awesome. That's going to be a fun battle.
It's kind of hard to water down grit and grind because grit and grind's already kind of a watered down going to work. So
I'm gonna Google this.
That
was a bar.
Yeah, it was.
Mic drop.
But I do think that Memphis will be super, super physical, man. Beef Stew, Cam
for sure.
Zach Edey, Cedric Howard, a coward. Like, I think that defense could be top 10. That should be the goal for them. Have a top 10 defense. See if Cam Boozer can be a guy. But yeah, they won't be super great. They will be competitive, but they won't be super great. Pelicans, I'm right there with you.
I think this year we find out if Zach Edey's ankles actually can hold up at all, because that's really been the thing with him. Like, I mean, like Memphis, like they have some intriguing pieces. It's just really the fact like Zach Edey's like been like one of the more intriguing guys in the league, like when he's played, but like he's played a combined 77 games in his career and 66 of them were in his rookie year. So he only played 11 last year. I mean, some of that's tanking, but let's be real. Some of that's also because of the ankle surgeries he's had. So, yeah, it's, I really like what they have. Obviously, we love beef stew here. And, like I do really like Cam Boozer, and I think he's going to bring some maturity that they haven't had there in a while. And, but to the point of this in-season tournament group, this is like, it's congratulations, Oklahoma City. You've advanced already.
Yep. Okay, let's go ahead and pick our favorites from each one. And we can always go back and look at this because I remember last time we did something. I had to eat flaming wings. Had a bucket hat with milk with straw. It was disgusting. Anyways, let's just start. West A. I'm gonna go Dallas here.
I'm going with the Nuggets. I'm going with the reliability of the Joker.
Yeah, I feel like Jokic should be on a mission this year. Been a lot of playoff outs that some didn't expect so early. So I'm gonna go with Denver.
Yeah, I feel like I could have gone with them. I just really like what Dallas has built. I feel like it's going to be really phenomenal to watch. Marcus Sasser is going to have a good year. West B, I'm going to go with Minnie. I just really love the idea of LaMelo and Ant just like dominating the NBA Cup. I don't know. It just seems fitting for what they have brought so far to the NBA.
I would absolutely love that. And I hate just to keep picking the obvious teams here. But,
you have to, if that's what you think.
But the Thunder are a dynasty, like a dynasty in the making. Like their talent is top level. They've been indestructible these last couple of years until proven otherwise. I'm going with the Thunder.
Yeah.
Very excited to see the LaMelo and Ant backcourt. And seeing LaMelo play for a team that has defensive infrastructure. I'm excited to see that. But yeah, Shea, Chet, J-Dub, AJ Mitchell back. How can I go against one of the greatest defenses of all time in the regular season too? So it's hard to go against them.
West C. I'm going to go with, and I'm not going with the obvious. I'm going with Portland.
What are you doing, Leggy?
Wait for it. Early year Portland is I'm going to tell you, Tamani Kamara is one of my favorite players to watch in the NBA. I think Ja and Dame is such a fun combo. And we're talking about 4 games, brother. We're not talking about 82 games. This isn't a game. This is practice. This is like 4 games to get in. You get all these shots. You're playing against a broke down Golden State team. You're playing against a team where Luka Doncic might get 2 technicals in the first 2 minutes.
Victor Wembanyama, we're good. We got Tumani Kamara.
Okay, move on. Let's get past that. Okay, what about you guys?
Who's Brennan picking? Hold on.
I want to go Spurs, but I'm gonna go with Luka. Luka, the Lakers. But yeah, I'm picking them because of Luka. Though I think Luka will have an MVP type season this year. Probably will lead the league in scoring again. I'm gonna go with the Lakers in this one.
Okay. Group A. Are we all going Detroit?
I mean, if the Pistons lose this group, something's gone awry.
Yeah. Like the one I can see is Orlando. Like I feel like Orlando's just gonna have a good year. They had a really bad injury year, like all that. They didn't really solve any of their issues, which is also really funny to me. They just
coaching was a huge thing for them.
Sean
Coaching
Sweeney,
was an
right?
issue.
Yeah, that was huge.
Okay. Well, either way, I'm taking Detroit.
Yeah.
But I feel you though, if it was anybody else, it would have to be the Magic finally meet their potential.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going Detroit though.
Yeah,
Hey,
and I don't know if Orlando's going to be doing that in November.
They're going to need some time. B, East Group B. This is I'm going to be surprised if we all have the same answer. I think I know where Brennan's going. I'm going to go 76ers. I think LeBron is on a mission to do whatever he can every year now. Like we saw him win it a few years ago, and I think people said before the season, oh, LeBron's not going to care about something in season. Well, he won it. And maybe he didn't care too much. Maybe they were just so dang good. I just think Philly with Jaylen Brown, too, is going to try to prove stuff. I'm going to go Philly.
Give me the Heat. Go, like if I'm going to go a little different here, I don't know if I believe in the long-term prospects of what Miami can be, but I think if they just allow Giannis to take the reins, Bam, plays more of a passive catch and shoot or cutter role, along with, like they have more shooting than people give them credit for. I think Miami has a very good chance to, like surprise people. And at the very least, at the beginning of the season, set a tone and make some noise.
I think you might be the first person outside of the Heat circle to say that they have a little more shooting than everybody thinks, and that is very true. But
I'll tell you, L.A. Larson. When I went to Sweden, I went to a basketball shop. Sorry to interrupt you, Brian. I feel like I've done that.
Go ahead.
I went to a basketball shop, and it was like they had all these jerseys on the wall, and I was just thinking like, oh, that's gonna be cool. There's Pistons jerseys. It's got to be. It was Bobby Klintman because like Swedish, and of course he's not even on the team anymore. But he was just talking about Pelle Larsson and was just talking about how amazing human he is. And he's like going to carry the torch for Sweden. And so like everyone there backs him. And I haven't watched too much of him, but like hearing him, it made me want to run through a brick wall for the man, like representing his country. Everyone in that basketball community is just so proud.
Yeah, he definitely is a scrapper. He's gonna surprise people this year. But I'm just high on the Knicks, man. It's more so I'm just high on the way they play team basketball. Like they are just redefining how basketball's supposed to be played. It's a 5-man game. Everybody play together. So I'm gonna go with the Knicks. I obviously could see anybody winning it. I will have Cleveland 5 though. Like I said, I'm not that high on Cleveland this year. I think they might implode internally, just a team that can't get over the hump, and they might go through a 5-game losing streak and just be like, you know what, I'm out. Somebody might have that type of mentality. So I'm gonna go with the Knicks though.
Okay. Sean, you picked the Heat. So then EC. I've been hyping up Atlanta all day. I'm really going to go with Washington. Like you guys just talking more about Trey and AJ and that fit. It's like, then you think about all they have around, like, cause they got Middleton too. So it's like all these vets that are wanting to go there. All these players want to be there. And it's like, I mean, that means something. It's for a franchise that hasn't had success in a long time. And even when they had Wall and Beal, was there too much success? Like almost beating the Celtics was their big thing. So it's like, I feel like this is the chance for them to really step up.
I think this could be a really big year for Peyton Pritchard. And I think that when we're looking at the likelihood of teams having their rosters at this point of the year, I think it's pretty safe to say that like this is probably Boston's most reliable chance to say, hey, Paul George will be healthy at a point in the season. Like I feel better about saying that here than I would through an 82-game season. And so I think even though I still have questions about Boston's ability to get over the hump or to be like a contending team beyond like a first or second round exit, I don't see a reason why they can't win this group, especially if they're still close to the Boston that we expect.
Yeah.
Great.
Remember,
picks.
they got Mitchell Robinson too, by the way. Don't forget that. That was a sneaky big acquisition.
For sure. And then Kata as a backup big, that's a great backup big because he was a solid starter. I know he was, not the superstar starter that people wanted, but so he's a great backup. I like both of those picks. Boston should win. But I sneakily do think that Charlotte will still be solid. I like the foundation that Charles Lee kind of set last year. They had a solid defense from like February on. And losing LaMelo is going, the offense is obviously going to be affected by that, but I like Con Knuppel so much, and Kobe White won't give you the same LaMelo impact in terms of passing and like hit-ahead passing and that speed, but Kobe White can replicate the deep shooting and stuff like that. So I still think that Charlotte probably them and Boston lead the league in 3-point attempts, and I still think Charlotte will have a top 10-ish offense. So I'm gonna go with Charlotte here.
And you don't have to be top of the conference to make these. You just have to win the games that you play. So I mean, you could be second to last and get there. I like that because like Naz Reid, man, I want to see what he can do as like the guy on a team, one of the guys, instead of being in the shadow.
I don't know. Sorry. I didn't know how they mentioned Brandon Miller. If he is if he is who he's supposed to be, if he is who he was when he was drafted, he should average like 27 this year.
I was gonna say, to me, this feels like Charlotte staking the claim and saying LaMelo was a part of our success last year, but the real focal point of our roster is going to be Brandon Miller and Con Knuppel. Like, to me, this is their opportunity to like plant that flag and establish themselves. And I do think they're going to be more competitive than people give them credit for. I know they went and got a guard in the draft as well that I know people are pretty high on too. And I do think ever since like the Hornets have changed ownership groups, like they have started to run like a much more stable franchise. But it's like, I still think that there's a gap year possibility here because it wasn't just LaMelo that they lost. It was also Miles Bridges too, which we might not like the human being, but he was a pretty big piece of their wing rotation. So it's not that I don't think that they can be competitive. It's just I question, and that's more of a playoff thing. So to your point, this is just a 4-game stretch, but those would just be my hesitancies.
Yeah, and comment here. One before was who is Charlotte's PG. It's got to be Kobe White, and then it's not enough basketballs on the court for Charlotte. So
I mean, I don't know. I can see the point, but I just feel like they're gonna get shots up so fast. It's not. It don't even matter, especially in a setting like this. But I can see that sentiment though. That makes sense.
It's just so new. Okay, we get to pick now because you get one pick per. Now you just get to pick one wild card per conference. We've elaborated on all of these teams. I think for me, it's going to be either one of San Antonio or OKC because I picked Blazers and Wolves in the West. And then in the East, I think it's got to be, I really do think it's going to be Magic or Raptors. It can't be both, but it's going to be one of those two because of the group they're in. They're going to beat up on Milwaukee and Brooklyn. And then if they beat the other one, that's not Raptors Magic. So it's either one of those two or like, I think I'm going to go with Atlanta.
I think my wild cards, look out for Utah, man. To a lot of what Brennan was saying earlier, this is a team that like sneakily acquired a lot of talent over the last calendar year. Keontae George was looking phenomenal towards the end of last season. Will Hardy's a great coach. The Ainges, are a great like front office regime, that knows what they're doing wherever they've been. They've put together good rosters. So I think Utah could sneakily come out and be one of the best teams in the West this year. And then if I'm looking at like, since I didn't pick them here, like look out for Minnesota as well. I mean, they can obviously catch Oklahoma City in a 1-game scenario. And another thing that matters in this is point differential. And if their offense is what we think it can be, those guys can run up the points.
Yeah, so I picked the Lakers, so definitely the Spurs, because they probably should win that group in general. But I'm just kind of expecting like a Luka explosion can kind of carry the Lakers through. So give me the Spurs, and I will also go with Minnesota. I'm loving that backcourt, man. I'm so excited to see Anthony Edwards finally get to be a real shooting guard again. Like that's what he naturally is supposed to be. I know these days every guard has to be a de facto point guard. Every guard has to be able to, run an offense. But Anthony Edwards is like a Michael Jordan, that's his archetype, so he can finally play off the ball, and he'll probably shoot 10 threes a game this year. They both LaMelo might shoot like 8 or 9 too. So Rudy Gobert back there protecting the paint. LaMelo has always been okay in passing lanes, and Gobert can make up for him. So I'm gonna go with the Spurs in Minnesota for the West at least.
Yeah, and on the East, for me, like looking at if I'm just to say one wild card, Cleveland from the standpoint of if Evan Mobley's ever going to be that guy people talked about him being, this would probably be a good time to show it.
Yeah, but how do you guys really think he can be what they said?
No.
I'm with you.
No.
That's probably why I'm so low on them. Like I think like psychologically, man, I just feel like players can get like frustrated with all of that. Like you got paid like the guy. You can shoot the ball whenever you want to, but sometimes you just don't want to. And like why? Like you're too talented for that, man. To have these ebbs and flows in the game where it's just like, where's Evan Mobley?
He's probably the defensive player of the year I've forgotten is on the court the most out of anyone I've ever seen.
Yeah,
I can see it. I can see that.
I mean, the thing I like about this is that you never know what's going to happen. I feel like when you're talking about NBA finals, it's more predictable because you have 4-game series. There's more, I don't know, data that you can use.
Margin for error too.
What was that?
There's more margin for error. Like you can lose one game and then it's like, okay, we figured them out now. Now let's win 4 straight. So
like Detroit, first round of the playoffs, they would have lost if it was just all or nothing. So it's like, this is why I like it, because it makes it so like I would love to see the Pistons win all the way through, but if they don't, it's like, okay, I can see why. Like it's
single elimination within like the first 20 games of the season as well. It's like these are not like final formed products at all.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like NFL preseason. No, not really. That's even worse. We were talking about that before we got rolling here.
It's kind of like one of those like it's kind of like in college basketball. It's like those like Honolulu invitationals or like Big East tournament, like Big East Invitational or something like that.
Playing on the
But
airships.
but like if it was actually a big deal.
Yeah. Okay, guys. We've been on for about 50 minutes. We've had a few of y'all in here most of this time. Thanks for being in here. If you did like it, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you comment. We try to post every Thursday, go live every Thursday with 313 Connect with my guys, Sean and Brennan. Okay. Any other points from you guys?
No.
Well, I will say to Onyx, Charlotte did not suck last year, especially like when they turned the table. Yeah, Caleb Wilson, Rookie of the Year. You'll have opportunity. You have a lot of opportunity to have the ball in his hands. I think I would favor maybe Boozer. Yeah. I think Memphis will be competitive, and I think that AJ and DP will just be kind of further on the depth chart on their teams, on the shot chart. Like they won't lead their team to shots a game. You know, media loves point PRA. But yeah, Caleb Wilson will have the ball. He'll have a chance. He'll have an opportunity in Chicago for sure.
I think the talk with Utah, though, with Darren Peterson is he's going to be their point guard as well. So he's not just going to be having an opportunity to be shooting the ball, but like if he's like a high level like facilitator off the gate and helps them win, I could see that like catapulting him further into that conversation. I agree with you. Like he probably wouldn't be my favorite, but I think it's a very realistic scenario.
For sure.
I think with AJ, like with the Wizards, if they overachieve, like you sadly get that narrative of a winning team. The rookie's been doing a lot, not necessarily the most impressive work that you've seen. I mean, it was kind of like Cade, Scotty almost. Like you can bring that up as much as you want. You can bring up all these other scenarios. There's got to be a lot more. Like all I remember is like Donovan Mitchell, Ben Simmons. That's a different situation. Like he wasn't really a rookie. Anyways.
Yeah, I mean the other comp I guess would be, I mean, just you look at this last year's Rookie of the Year race where it was Con Kneppel versus Cooper Flagg, where Cooper Flagg had all those insane performances, like 30, 40-point games, but Con Kneppel had not just the best three-point shooting season by a rookie ever, but one of the greatest three-point shooting seasons ever on top of his team being better too. You know, I think it's like sometimes it can definitely be narrative-based what the voters are going to come down to, but like I do think some of those statistics matter more in this modern day.
Yeah.
I don't think we're looking at warp and vorp anymore for Rookie of the Year.
And we're going to be talking about Rookie of the Year all season long. Like I said, about every Thursday around this time, 8:30, 9:30, we're going to be going live just to talk about everything Detroit Pistons basketball. I'm going to have links to these guys' works in the description. So make sure you check them out. Hope you guys all had a good time. We'll talk to you later.
Appreciate you guys.